Freshies! Welcome back to another episode of Learning Mathematics here at DepEd TV. I am Teacher Belle, ang iyong kaduo sa Math 7. This is a new day for fun and exciting learning in mathematics. Together, let's be Math Tibay, Math Talino, and Math Galing!
Exciting, discovering new topics that are amazing. You can surely enjoy this thing. Show the skills that you have inside. By solving problems, yes, you'll make it right. Embrace new knowledge, isn't it fun? Come on, let's learn something now. Numbers can also be your friend. Just sit down, focus, and listen. Have you heard of sets, integers, and absolute value? If not, here will help you. Be math galing, be math galing. You can surely enjoy this thing. La 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 la. Be math galing, be math galing. You can surely enjoy this thing.
As we are starting with today's task, I want you to bring out your pen and self-learning module. Now get ready for our math venture on plotting irrational numbers on a number line. Before we start with our discussion for today, let us see if you have already mastered the lesson discussed in the previous episode, which is about estimating the square root of a whole number to the nearest hundredths. Let us have a real quick review. This activity is called Make Your Way. Help Mr. Monkey find his way for his breakfast by estimating the square root to the nearest hundreds and following the correct answer to finish the puzzle. You can help Mr. Monkey find his banana. Let's try to estimate the square root of 30. Is it 4.46 or 5.48? Since 30 is closest to the perfect squares 25 and 36, the square root of 30 must be between 5 and 6. The only choice which has a value between these two is 5.48. Did you get it? Good! Let's go! Next is the square root of 93. 93 is close to 81 and 100, which means that its square root should be between 9 and 10. 93 is closer to 100 than to 81, so its square root must be closer to 10 than to 9. If we try squaring 9.6, 9.7, 9.8, and 9.9, 93 will be closer to the value of 9.6 squared. We can now see our answer, right? That is 9.64. You are doing great! Next is the square root of 117. 117 is closest to 100 and 121, whose square roots are 10 and 11 respectively. Since 117 is closer to 121, its square root should be closer to 11. The two choices are closer to 11 than to 10. If we square 10.8, it would result in 116.64, while the square of 10.6 is 112.36. It is clear that 10.8 squared is closer to 117. So let's take the path of 10.82. We are now very close to the banana, right? Next is the square root of 82. 82 is closest to 81 and 100, whose square roots are 9 and 10 respectively. We know that 82 is much closer to 81, so its square root must be closer to 9. Let's try to square 9.0 and 9.1. 9.0 squared is 81, while 9.1 squared is 82.81. So the square root of 82 must be between 9.0 and 9.1. Since 82 is closer to 82.81, its square root should be closer to 9.1. So that can be 9.06, 9.07, 9.08, or 9.09. If we square this, 82 would be closest to the value of 9.06 squared. Therefore, we will take 9.06. Oh look! Mr. Monkey already reached his banana. Congratulations, Mr. Monkey. Congratulations to you too, Freshies. We successfully led Mr. Monkey to the right path. In the activity, you noticed that some choices were difficult. But remember, choosing the right path sometimes means you have the will to choose hard choices. Some of you might have also chosen the wrong path. No worries. Sometimes in life, we may take a lot of wrong turns before we find the right one. The important thing is, you did not give up. Did you enjoy the activity? Were you able to name two consecutive integers with which the given square root would likely fall? Great! Since we will be needing that concept for our discussion. Now, how do you think are we going to plot these square roots on a number line? You will find this out on the activities that were prepared for you. What do you think are we going to do today? We are going to plot irrational numbers on a number line. But what are irrational numbers? These are numbers which cannot be represented as a simple fraction. Their decimal forms are non-repeating and non-terminating. Some examples of this are the square root of 2, square root of 3, and pi. If we are going to plot irrational numbers on a number line, first, we are going to estimate the square root of the given irrational numbers. We can follow these steps. Step 1. Determine to which two consecutive integers does the square root of the given will likely fall. Step 2. Determine which of the two integers is closer to the square root of the given number. Step 3. On the number line, locate the two integers, then plot the point. Let's have an example. Locate and plot the square root of 3 on a number line. Step 1. Determine to which two consecutive integers does the square root of the given will likely fall. 3 is between the perfect squares 1 and 4. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. So, the square root of 3 would likely fall between 1 and 2. Step 2. Determine which of the two integers is closer to the square root of the given number. 3 is closer to 4 than to 1. Therefore, the square root of 3 is closer to 2. So that may be 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, or 1.9. If we square these numbers, 3 will fall between 2.89 and 3.24. So its square root must be between 1.7 and 1.8. 3 is closer to 1.7 than to 1.8. So that may be 1.71, 1.72, 1.73, and 1.74. 3 is closest to the square of 1.73. Step 3. On the number line, locate the two integers, then plot the point. Let us locate 1 and 2 on the number line. The square root of 3 is between 1 and 2, and we know that it should be closer to 2. So the square root of 3 should be here. Let us have another example. Locate and plot the square root of 21 on a number line. Step 1. 21 is between the perfect squares 16 and 25. The square root of 16 is 4, while the square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of 21 is between 4 and 5. Step 2. 21 is closer to 25 than to 16. So the square root of 21 is closer to 5. Since it is closer to 5, we may have 4.5, 4.6, and 4.7. If we square these, we can see that the value of 21 is between the squares of 4.5 and 4.6. If we square this, 21 will be closest to the square of 4.58. Step 3. Locate 4 and 5 on the number line. We know that the square root of 21 is between 4 and 5. The square root of 21 is closer to 5, so it should be located here. Next example, locate and plot square root of 87. Step 1. 87 is closest to the perfect squares 81 and 100. The square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 100 is 10. So, the square root of 87 would likely fall between 9 and 10. Step 2. 87 is closer to 81 than to 100. So the square root of 87 is closer to 9 than to 10. The value of 87 is closer to 86.49. So its square root should also be closer to 9.3. We may square 9.31, 9.32, 9.33, and 9.34. So the estimate of the square root of 87 is 9.33. Step 3. Let us locate 9 and 10 on the number line. We know that the square root of 87 is closer to 9, so it should be located here. Now let's have an activity. Here, we are going to estimate the given square roots and find the letter that corresponds to it on the number line. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Let us start with number 1. Square root of 57. Timer! Time's up! 57 is closest to 49 and 64. The square root of 49 is 7, and the square root of 64 is 8. So, the square root of 57 would fall between 7 and 8. 57 is closer to 64 than to 49. So, the square root of 57 must be closer to 8 than to 7. So, if your answer is letter D, great job! Number 2. Square root of 6. Timer! Time's up! Let's check your answer. 6 is closest to the perfect squares 4 and 9. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So, the square root of 6 would fall between 2 and 3. 6 is closer to 4 than to 9. So, the square root of 6 must be closer to 2 than to 3. So, if your answer is letter A, you are correct. Let us have number 3. Square root of 99. Timer! Time's up! 99 is closest to the perfect squares 81 and 100. The square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 100 is 10. So, the square root of 99 would fall between 9 and 10. 99 is closer to 100 than to 81. So, the square root of 99 must be closer to 10 than to 9. So if your answer is letter E, perfect! Were you able to answer all the questions correctly? If not, we still have more activities to go, so prepare your pen and paper. This activity will help you master the concept of our lesson for today. Are you ready? Let's go! This time, we are given two number lines which may or may not indicate the location of the given square root on the left. Cross out the number line which does not represent the location of the given square root. Let's answer this together. First is the square root of 105. Which of the two number lines displays the square root of 105 incorrectly? Since 105 is between the perfect squares 100, which has a square root of 10, and 121, which has a square root of 11, the location of the square root of 105 should be between 10 and 11, and this is displayed on the number line at the right. Therefore, the number line at the left is not for the square root of 105. Let's cross it out. Did you get it? Great! Next, which of the two number lines located the square root of 33 correctly? Since 33 is closest to the perfect squares 25 and 36, its square root should be between 5 and 6. With a distance of 3 units, 33 is closer to 36 than to 25. So its square root should be closer to 6 than to 5. In this case, the correct number line is the number line on the left. Let's cross out the number line on the right. Fantastic! Next, which of the two number lines represents the square root of 217 correctly? 217 is closest to the perfect squares 196 and 225, which has a square root of 14 and 15 respectively. 217 is closer to 225 than to 196. So the square root of 217 should be closer to 15 than to 14. The number line on the left illustrated this, so let's cross out the number line on the right. If you got this correctly, math galing! That was easy, right? We just locate the two consecutive integers, then determine which of the two integers is closer to the given square root. To check if you really understood and have gained mastery of the lesson, you will plot the given irrational numbers on a number line. This will be an exercise for your brain here in Sit in a minute! Plot the points on a number line. You have a minute to finish the 3 items. Ready? Number 1, square root of 73. Number 2, square root of 30. And number 3, square root of 7. Timer! Time's up! Let's check your answer. Number 1. The square root of 73 is between 8 and 9. This should be closer to 9, so it should look like this. Number 2. The square root of 30 is between 5 and 6. This should be closer to 5, so it would be plotted here. Number 3. The square root of 7 is between 2 and 3 and should be closer to 3, so it should be plotted here.
Great job on your math venture today, Freshies! You truly are math galing! For more activities and references, you can visit our Facebook page, Math Galing, Grade 7 Mathematics.
To extend your learning, please answer what I have learned in the assessment part found in your module.
That's it for today, but learning does not end here. In our next episode, we will have fun illustrating the different subsets of a real number. Again, this is Teacher Belle, ang iyong kaduo sa Math 7. I hope we help you become math tibay, math talino, and math galing!